Hello and welcome to Brendan Moyer's Playwright Corner, where I read plays, poems, or whatever's currently striking my fancy at the moment. Today we're going to be reading two one-act plays by J.M. Synge, an Irish playwright who is a contemporary of W.B. Yeats. The first of these one-act plays is called Riders to the Sea, which was written between 1900 and 1905. The players are Maria, an old woman, Bartley, her son, Kathleen, her daughter, and Nora, a younger daughter, with men and women as a chorus. The first production was in Dublin on the 25th of February, 1904. Maria was performed by Honor Lavelle, Bartley by W.G. Fay, Kathleen by Sarah Allgood, and Nora by Emma Vernon. Scene: an island off the west of Ireland. Cottage kitchen, with nets, oilskins, spinning wheels, some new boards standing by the wall, etc. Kathleen, a girl of about 20, finishes kneading cake and puts it down in the pot oven by the fire, then wipes her hands and begins to spin at the wheel. Nora, a young girl, puts her head in at the door. Nora: Where is she? Kathleen: She's lying down, God help her, and maybe sleeping if she's able. Nora comes in softly and takes a bundle from under her shawl. Kathleen, spinning the wheel rapidly: What is it you have? The young priest is after bringing him. It's a shirt and a plain stocking what I got of a drowned man in Donegal. Kathleen stops her wheel with a sudden movement and leans out to listen. We're to find out if it's Michael's they are. Sometime herself will be down looking by the sea. How would they be Michael's, Nora? How would he go the length of that way to the far north? The young priest says he's known the like of it. If it's Michael's they are, says he can tell herself he's got a clean burial by the grace of God. And if they're not his, let no one say a word about them, for she'll be getting her death, says he, with crying and lamenting. The door which Nora half closed behind her is blown open by a gust of wind. Kathleen looking out anxiously. Did you ask him would he stop Bartley going this day with the horses to the Galloway fair? I won't stop him, says he, but let you not be afraid. Herself does be saying prayers half through the night, and the Almighty God won't leave her destitute, says he, with no son living. Is the sea bad by the White Rocks, Nora? Middling bad, God help us. There's a great roaring in the west, and it's worse it'll be getting when the tides turn to the wind. She goes over to the table with the bundle. Shall I open it now? Maybe she'd wake on us and come in before we'd done. It's a long time will be, and the two of us crying. Nora goes to the inner door and listens. She's moving about on the bed. She'll be coming out in a minute. Give me the ladder, and I'll put it up in the turf loft, the way she won't know of them at all. And maybe when the tide turns, she'll be going down to see would be floating from the east. They put the ladder against the gable of the chimney. Kathleen goes up a few steps and hides the bundle in the turf loft. Maria comes from the inner room. Maria, looking up at Kathleen and speaking querulously. Isn't it turf enough for you this day and evening? There's a cake baking in the fire for a short space, thrown down the turf, and Bartley will want it when the tide turns if he goes to Connemara. Nora picks up the turf and puts it round the pot oven. Maria, sitting down on a stool at the fire. He won't go this day with the wind rising from the south and west. He won't go this day, for the young priest will stop him surely. He'll not stop him, mother, and I heard Eamon Simon and Stephen Feety and Colm Sean saying he would go. Where is he itself? He went down to see would there be another boat sailing in the week, and I'm thinking it won't be long till he's there now, for the tide's turning in the Greenhead, and the hooker's tracking from the east. I hear someone passing the big stones. Nora, looking out. He's coming now, and he in a hurry. Bartley comes in and looks around the room, speaking sadly and quietly. Where's the bit of new rope Kathleen was bought in Connemara? Kathleen, coming down. Give it to him, Nora. It's on the nail by the whiteboards. I hung it up this morning, for the pig with the black feet was eating it. Nora, giving him the rope. Is that it, Bartley? You do right to leave that rope, Bartley, hanging by the boards. Bartley takes the rope. It will be wanting in this place, I'm telling you. If Michael is washed up tomorrow morning, or the next morning, or any morning in the week, for it's a deep grave will make him by the grace of God. Bartley, beginning to work with the rope. I've no halt of the way I can ride down on the mare, and I must go now quickly. This is the one boat going for 2 weeks or beyond it, and the fair will be a good fair of horses, I heard them saying below. It's a hard thing they'll be saying below if the body is washed up and there's no man to make a coffin, and I have to give in a big price for the finest white boards you find in Connemara." She looks round at the boards. "How would it be washed up? And we have to look in each day for 9 days, and a strong wind blowing a while back from the west and south. If it isn't found itself, that wind is raising the sea, and there was a star up against the moon rising in the night. If it was 100 horses, or 1,000 horses you had itself, what is the price of 1,000 horses against one son, where there is one son only?" Bartley looking at the halter to Kathleen. "Let you go down each day, and see the sheep aren't jumping in the rye, and if the jobber comes, you can sell the pig with the black feet, if there's a good price going." "How would the like of her get a good price for a pig?" Bartley to Kathleen. "If the west wind holds with the last bit of the moon, let you and Nora get up a weed enough for another cock for the kelp. Its hard set will be from this day with no one in it but one man to work." "Its hard set will be surely the day you're drowned with the rest. What way will I live and the girls with me, and I an old woman looking for the grave?" Bartley lays down the halter, takes off his old coat, and puts on a newer one of the same flannel. Bartley to Nora. "Is she coming to the pier?" "She's passing the green head and letting fall her sails." Bartley, getting his purse and tobacco. "I've had half an hour to go down, and you'll see me coming again in 2 days, or in 3 days, or maybe in 4 days if the wind is bad." Maria, turning round to the fire, putting her shawl over her head. "Isn't it a hard and cruel man won't hear a word from an old woman, and she holding him from the sea? It's the life of a young man to be going to sea, and who would listen to an old woman with one thing and she saying it over?" Bartley taking the halter. "I must go now quickly. I'll ride down the red mare and the grey pony will run behind me. The blessing of God on you." He goes out. Maria, crying out as he is in the doorway. "He's gone now. God spare us and we'll not see him again. He's gone now. When the black night is falling, I'll have no son left to me in the world." Kathleen. "Why wouldn't you give him your blessing as you're looking round in the door? Isn't it sorrow enough in everyone in this house without you sending him out with an unlucky word behind him and a hard word in his ear?" Maria takes up the tongs and begins draking the fire aimlessly without looking round. Nora, turning towards her. "You're taking away the turf from the cake." Kathleen crying out. "The Son of God forgive us, Nora. We're after forgetting his bit of bread." She comes over to the fire. Nora. "And it's destroyed. He'll be going till dark night, and he after eating nothing since the sun went up." Kathleen turning the cake out of the oven. "It's destroyed he'll be, surely. There's no sense left in any person in the house where an old woman will be talking forever." Kathleen cutting off some of the bread and rolling it in a cloth to Maria. "Let you go down now to the spring well and give him this and he passing. You'll see him then, and the dark word will be broken, and you can say Godspeed you, the way he'll be easy in his mind." Maria taking the bread. "Will I be in it as soon as himself?" "If you go now quickly." Maria standing up unsteadily. "It's hard set I am to walk." Kathleen looking at her anxiously. "Give her the stick, Nora, and maybe she'll slip on the big stones." "What stick?" "The stick Michael brought from Connemara." Maria taking a stick Nora gives her. "In the big world, the old people do believe in things after them for their sons and children. But in this place, it is the young men do believe in things behind for them that do be old." She goes out slowly. Nora goes over to the ladder. "Wait, Nora. Maybe she'd turn back quickly. She's that sorry, God help her, you wouldn't know the things she'd do." "Is she gone round by the bush?" Kathleen looking out. "She's gone now. Throw it down quickly, for the Lord knows when she'll be out of it again." Nora getting the bundle from the loft. "The young priest said he'd be passing tomorrow, and we might go down and speak with him below if it's Michael's Day or Shirley." Kathleen taking the bundle from Nora. "Did he say what way they were found?" "There were 2 men, says he, and they were rowing with Pontine before the cocks crowed, and the oar of one of them caught the body, and they passing the black cliffs in the north." Kathleen trying to open the bundle. "Give me a knife, Nora. The string's perished with the salt water, and there's a black knot on it you wouldn't loosen in a week." Nora giving her a knife. "I've heard tell it was a long way to Donegal." Kathleen cutting the string. "It is, Shirley. There was a man in here a while ago. The man sold us that knife, and he said if you set off walking from the rocks beyond, it would be in 7 days you'd be in Donegal. And what time would a man take, and he floating?" Kathleen opens the bundle and takes out a bit of a shirt and stocking. The Lord spare us, Nora. Isn't it a queer, hard thing to say if it's his they are, Shirley? I'll get his shirt off the hook, that way we can put the one flannel on the other. She looks through some of the clothes hanging in the corner. It's not with him, Kathleen. Where'll it be? I'm thinking Bartley put it on him in the morning, for his own shirt was heavy with the salt in it. Pointing to the corner. There's a bit of a sleeve was the same stuff. Give me that and it will do. Nora brings it over to her and they compare the flannel. It's the same stuff, Nora. But if it is itself, aren't there great rows of it in the shops of Galloway? And isn't it many another man may have a shirt of it as well as Michael himself? Nora, who has taken up the stocking and counted the stitches, crying out, It's Michael, Kathleen. It's Michael. God spare her soul. And what will herself say when she hears this story and Bartley on the sea? Kathleen, taking the stocking. It's a plain stocking. It's the second one on the third pair I knitted. I put up 3 more stitches and I dropped 4 of them. Kathleen counts the stitches. It's that number, isn't it? Oh, Nora, isn't it a bitter thing to think of him floating that way, and no one to keen him up but the black hags that do be flying on the sea? Nora, swinging herself round and throwing out her arms on the clothes. And isn't it a pitiful thing when there is nothing left of a man who was a great rower and fisher, but a bit of an old shirt and plain stocking? Tell me, is herself coming? Nora, I hear a little sound on the path. Nora, looking out. She is, Kathleen. She's coming up to the door. Put these things away before she'll come in. Maybe it's easier she'll be after giving her blessing to Bartley, and we won't let on we've heard anything the time he's on the sea. Nora, helping Kathleen to close the bundle. We'll put them here in the corner. They put them in a hole in the chimney corner. Kathleen goes back to the spinning wheel. Will she see it? I was crying, I was. Keep your back to the door. The way the light'll not be on you. Nora sits down at the chimney corner, with her back to the door. Maria comes in very slowly, without looking at the girls, and goes over to her stool at the other side of the fire. The cloth with the bread is still in her hand. The girls look at each other, and Nora points to the bundle of bread. Kathleen, after spinning for a moment. You didn't give him his bit of bread? Maria begins to keen softly, without turning round. Did you see him writing down? Maria goes on keening. God forgive you. Isn't it a better thing to raise your voice and tell what you seen than to be making lamentation for a thing that's done? Did you see Bartley, I'm saying to you? My heart's broken from this day. Did you see Bartley? I seen the fearfullest thing. Kathleen leaves her wheel and looks out. God forgive you. He's riding the mare now over the green head, and the grey pony behind him. Maria starts so that her shawl falls from her head and shows her white tossed hair. The grey pony behind him? Kathleen coming to the fire. What is it ails you at all? I've seen the fearfullest thing any person has seen, since the day bride Dara seen a dead man with the child in his arms. What? Kathleen and Nora crouched down in front of the old woman at the fire. Tell us what it is you seen. I went down to the spring well, and I stood there saying a prayer to myself. Then Bartley came along, and he riding on the red mare with the grey pony behind him. She puts up her hands as if to hide something from her eyes. The Son of God spare us, Nora! What is it you seen? I seen Michael himself. You did not, Mother. It wasn't Michael you seen. For his body is after being found in the far north, and he's got a clean burial by the grace of God. I'm after seeing him this day, and he riding and galloping. Bartley came first on the red mare, and I tried to say Godspeed ye, but something choked the words in my throat. He went by quickly, and the blessing of God on you, says he, and I could say nothing. I looked up then, and I was crying at the grey pony, and there was Michael upon it, with flying clothes on him, and new shoes on his feet. Kathleen begins to keen. It's destroyed we are from this day. It's destroyed, surely. Didn't the young priest say the Almighty God won't leave her destitute with no son living? It's little the like of him knows of the sea. Bartley will be lost now. And let ye call an eamon, and make me a good coffin out of the white birds, for I won't live after them. I've had a husband, and a husband's father, and 6 sons in this house. 6 fine men. Though it was a hard birth, I had every one of them, and they coming into the world. And some of them were found, and some of them were not found. But they're gone now, the lot of them. There were Stephen and Sean were lost in the great wind, and found after in the Bay of Gregory, and in the Golden Mouth, and carried up the 2 of them on one plank, and in by that door. She pauses for a moment. The girls start as if they heard something coming through the door that is half open behind them. Did you hear that, Kathleen? Did you hear a noise in the northeast? There's someone crying out by the seashore. Maria continues without hearing them. There was Seamus and his father, and his own father again, were lost in a dark night, and not a stick or sign was seen of them when the sun went up. There was Patch, after was drowned out of the Keurig that turned over. I was sitting here with Bartley, and he a baby lying on my 2 knees, and I see 2 women, and 3 women, and 4 women coming in, and they crossing themselves and not saying a word. I looked out then, and there were men coming after them, and they holding the thing in half a red sail, and water dripping out of it. It was a dry day, Nora, and leaving a track to the door. She pauses again with her head stretched out towards the door. It opens softly, and the old women begin to come in, crossing themselves on the threshold, and kneeling down in front of the stage, with red petticoats over their heads. Maria, half in a dream, to Kathleen. Is it Patch? Or is it Michael? Michael is after being found in the far north, and when he is found there, how can he be here in this place? There does be a pair of young men floating in the sea, and what way would they know if it was Michael they had, or another man like him, or when a man is 9 days in sea, and the wind is blowing its hard set on his own mother, would be to say what a man was in it. It's Michael, God spare him, for they're after sending us a bit of his clothes from the far north. She reaches out and hands Maria the clothes that belong to Michael. Maria stands up slowly and takes them in her hands. Nora looks out. They're carrying a thing among them, and there's water dripping out of it and leaving a track by the big stones. Kathleen, in a whisper to the women who have come in. Is it Bartley it is? One of the women. It is Shirley. God rest his soul. 2 younger women come in and pull out the table. The men carry in the body of Bartley, laid on a plank, with a bit of sail over it, and lay it on the table. Kathleen to the women as they are doing so. What way was he drowned? One of the women. The grey pony knocked him over into the sea, and he was washed out where there's a great surf on the white rocks. Maria has gone over and knelt down at the head of the table. The women are keening softly and swaying themselves with a slow movement. Kathleen and Nora kneel at the other end of the table. The men kneel near the door. They're all gone now, and there isn't anything more the sea can do to me. I have no call now to be crying up and praying when the wind breaks from the south, and you can hear a surface in the east, and the surface in the west making a great stir with the 2 noises, and they hitting one another. I'll have no call now to be going down and getting holy water on the dark nights after Samhain, and I won't care what way the sea is when the other woman will be keening. To Nora. Give me the holy water, Nora. There's a small sup still in the dresser. Nora gives it to her. Maria drops Michael's clothes across Bartley's feet and sprinkles the holy water over him. It isn't that I haven't prayed for you, Bartley, to the Almighty God. It isn't that I haven't said prayers in the dark night till you wouldn't know what I'd be saying. But it's a great rest I'll have now, and it's time, surely. It's a great rest I'll have now, and great sleeping in the long nights after Samhain. And it's only a bit of wet flour we do have to eat, and maybe a fish that would be stinking. She kneels down again, crossing herself and saying prayers under her breath. Kathleen, to an old man kneeling near her. Maybe herself and Eamon would make a coffin when the sun rises. We have fine white boards herself bought, God help her, thinking Michael would be found. And I have a new cake you can eat while you'll be working. The old man, looking at the boards. Are there nails with them? There are not, Colum. We didn't think of the nails. Another man. It's a great wonder she wouldn't think of the nails, and all the coffins she's seen made already. It's getting old, she is. And broken. Maria stands up again very slowly and spreads out the pieces of Michael's clothes beside the body, sprinkling them with the last of the holy water. Nora, in a whisper to Kathleen. She's quiet now, and easy. But the day Michael was drowned, you could hear her crying out from this to the spring well. It's fonder she was of Michael. How would anyone have thought that? An old woman will soon be tired with anything she will do. And it isn't 9 days herself is after crying, and keening, and making great sorrow in the house. Maria puts the empty cup mouth downwards on the table, and lays her hands together on Bartley's feet. They're all together this time, and the end is come. May the Almighty God have mercy on Bartley's soul, and on Michael's soul, and on the souls of Seamus and Patch, and Stephen and Sean, and may he have mercy on my soul, Nora, and on the soul of everyone left living in the world. She pauses, and the keen rises a little more loudly from the woman, then sinks away. Michael has a clean burial on the far north. By the grace of Almighty God, Bartley will have a fine coffin out of white boards, and a deep grave, surely. What more can we want than that? No man at all can be living forever, and we must be satisfied. She kneels down again, and the curtain falls slowly. The end.